who is a U.S. Journalist and political, to cover what is happening with all these discussions, the US and Russia security talks, which started on Monday in Geneva with a meeting with NATO today, and the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe on Thursday, which will include discussions between Ukraine and Russian officials. Back in December, Russia President Vladimir Putin and US President Joe Biden met with each other, and a consequence of that meeting was the drafting of two treaties, a security treaty and a security between NATO and Russia. The latter would bar Ukraine and Georgia from joining NATO, ruling out an eastward expansion by the Atlantic Military Alliance, and also to roll back NATO's military presence in Eastern Europe to 1990s levels. Both those treaties have, in essence, stalled. So, Caleb, welcome to the show this morning. What have you been seeing in these discussions, and what should we take up from it? And what concerns should we have about Russia, according to the Biden administration, having 100,000 troops near the Ukraine border in recent months?
Well, here's the thing. I think there are two underlying drives behind these talks. The first is the drive for peace, because I think people in Russia don't want a war with the United States. People in the United States don't want a war with Russia. People in Western Europe and Eastern Europe don't want a war. And so everyone wants peace. But at the same time, underlying that, there is a drive to remove Russia from the markets. You know, it's particularly cold outside, and it's a particularly cold winter, especially in Western Europe. And the price of natural gas right now is through the roof. It's through the roof. And American natural gas companies and British natural gas companies are making a killing. I mean, they are making a huge amount of money. And what could ruin this kind of perfect storm for the natural gas companies, right? I mean, we got the pandemic, and there's been, at this point, supply chain issues. On top of that, we have a situation where there's a particularly cold winter, and lots of money's being made by supplying Western Europe with natural gas. What could ruin it is if Russia got in on those markets, right? We have the Nord Stream 2 natural gas pipeline, which connects Russia to Germany. It's this huge pipeline that's been built, but it hasn't been turned on yet. And Russia has a huge state-owned natural gas company called Gazprom, and they're ready to start selling natural gas to Europe. But if they do that, then the natural gas companies that are making a killing right now suddenly have to deal with a competitor. Then there's more natural gas on the market, and the price of natural gas goes down. So there is a real economic incentive here for tension between Western Europe and the NATO countries and Russia to escalate right now, to keep that price of natural gas high, to keep Russia out of the natural gas markets in Western Europe. And that is really underlying all of this, in my view, that if relations between Russia and Western Europe and Russia and the NATO countries got better, at that point, then the natural gas companies would lose out. Russia wants peace, but I think there are some forces in the United States that fear Russia increasing its role in the international markets. They fear Russia emerging as a natural gas competitor and selling natural gas to Europe.
Caleb, I'm very sorry about this, but we're going to have to leave it there. But that was wonderfully insightful merging of economic and political points of view, which oftentimes is not part of the discourse. We usually just hear about the political point without fully understanding the business interests, of course. That was Caleb Maupin, journalist and political analyst. He's the founder and creator of the Center for Political Innovation. You can follow him on Twitter, and he's often, almost daily, on YouTube. He has his own channel. That's Caleb, K-A-L-E-P, Maupin, M-A-U-P-I-N. Thank you very much for coming on the show this morning,
Sure
Caleb.
Sure thing. Thank you.
And now...